to get this puppy figured out. Hopefully audio's good. So today we're going to kind of, or this evening I should say, we're kind of talking about branding here. So I would love, if I can get this camera to sit the way I want it to. So I would love to hear your guys' opinion. This is something that's kind of new. I don't want to say it's new because obviously I've been doing this for years, but what I'll do is I'll paint a picture. Hopefully the audio, I'm not using a Pel today, but we're talking about branding. See that little AD behind me? It's probably backwards for you. I made that years ago with my business partner. And I remember we were just on like some real basic Excel, whatever it was. And we did something and we're like, hey, let's make this kind of like a Nike strike and then incorporate the D. And, you know, when I think about it, so this question was from Keith, which I appreciate. I looked up in the comments of it and I found it. And Keith, I really appreciate it. So my question is how important in your experience of branding your business name? Have you mentioned your business because of blah, blah, blah? Now that it's a Google search to find whatever search services you need, what advertisement would you spend most of your advertisement budget on? I'm just kind of jumping through this. Website, local newspapers, yard signs. In your years of experience of moving forward, as the times have changed, which they have, what advertisement are you pushing that you feel is going to work in your area? I have purchased, so this is important. So I have purchased a business that I ran for 7 years, which is awesome. Congratulations. And that's awesome for the previous owner. That's great for you because a lot of people don't realize how long it takes to get that wheel. You know, I always think of it, what do they call those things? Those tops? You know what I mean? That spin, right? And the faster they're spinning, right? And then they can slow down and you got to respin them again. And they spin in a circle. It takes a lot of momentum to make those babies spin. So, purchased, ran for 7 years. Now that now I own the business and have built a good customer base, which is like the most important thing. I'm considering branding. Should I keep the name that was established or make it my own? Considering I have customer base and phone number, that's a great question. So for instance, like my business here, the guy that runs it, I'm filling in because he's taking a vacation. So I'm grabbing the work van. But what I would do, let's say I was in his shoes, I wouldn't change it. And this is the reason, and this is a big thing too. We have stickers plastered everywhere. And that's why stickers are so important, because I don't want to say like people are lazy, but people are forgetful and they just, so like one thing that I always thought was kind of cool is that I still remember the oil can, right? That a guy he's selling oil, you know, like spray lube, like Service Spring spray lubes type stuff. And he had his name on it. I thought that was ingenious because it's like, I got this full can of lube that I'm not going to get rid of. I'm like, I can't throw this away. I'm like, this is like $5. I can't throw this away. And he had a sticker. I still got the can to this day. And I was really tempted to get with him because when the cough syndrome was going on, I thought I was going to have to use them. And hey, if you're just jumping on too, if you don't mind giving a thumbs up, just helps. Spread the word a little bit. If you're here, say hello. Don't be shy. If you got any questions about business or anything, just personal, whatever, anything. I kind of like doing the Sunday. It's more relaxed, but I'm here for you. So if you got any questions, go ahead and freely ask. Don't be afraid. And then if you can, hit number 1. Let me know the audio's good, because I might be sitting here talking and nobody can even hear me for some reason, because you just never know how this thing goes. So the old business back here, I don't know. I literally was just talking to somebody the other day about this, about how we had a garage door company that went out of business. Well, they shut their doors. That was local here. And I remember, I thought, man, what a real shame that they didn't let somebody buy that phone number. And far as I know, it was just like you called it one day and it was disconnected. And I was like, and I mean, this company's been around for like, I don't know, 20 plus years. And it was a real shame to see that they didn't give the phone number away. You know what I mean? They didn't let somebody either have it or purchase it for X amount of dollars. They just said, you know what, we're done. I think they just didn't want to even deal with it. You know what I mean? They just said, we're done. We're out. I don't want people calling, still going, oh, what happened to them? I mean, there's all kinds of reasons. A lot of guys don't realize, like, when you've been in this for a long time, not all, but sometimes the psychological damage it can do. It can do a lot. Now, if you're a seasoned vet, you know what I'm talking about. You're like, I know exactly what you're talking about. The smashed windows. I mean, I literally get in the vehicle today, right? Which I don't even know why. The lights are still on, but I think they're off. I get in the vehicle today and I'm like, tonight, I'm like, oh my gosh. I'm like, it's under a quarter tank of gas. I'm like, son of a. So it was a little irritating with that. So I filled it up. It's no problem. But the branding, advertising, I get this question a lot, but I have a couple other businesses and I still like the signs. I think because we live in this world nowadays that, like, nothing, you ever feel like nothing's real anymore? Like everything's fake. So like a yard sign in the ground, even if it's on corners or if it's even where you're doing the work, it's like people see that and they see something physical and they're going, oh my gosh, there must have been an alien that put it there, or human. You know what I mean? Like, and it's almost like they go, oh, obviously they want some business. There's signs out there. I don't think the newspaper is really a thing anymore. Now, we got one around us that's called like, I see some stuff still in like called like the Buyer's Guide. It's kind of like a little thrifty type newspaper around here. People put stuff for sale and whatnot. Tony, thanks for number 1. Appreciate it. And so, I think it's okay. I see another business. I see some of my competition in there and whatnot. It's, I don't think, they say, I can't say provenly, they say they got to see it 3 times before they execute. I think it all depends. Because for instance, broken garage door springs, right? Broken garage door springs. It's like, bam! That's what it's like. It's like, I need somebody here and I need somebody here now. Can you get here now? If you can't get here in 2 hours, I'm calling somebody else. And that's what always kind of really, I was literally explaining that to my daughter this morning. The reason why sometimes in this business, I said it was like, you go do one, right? And you're like, oh, sweet, I got a job. You go do it. And then you get somebody else that calls when you're like 15 minutes in, right? And you're like, hello? And they're like, hey, can you I got a broken garage door spring. You're like, I can call you. Like, I can try to get you, And then by the time you call them and they're like, oh, I already, or they don't answer the phone. Now you're like, what do I do? What do I do for the rest of the day? Do I go do that other service call? Or do I do, it's always so much juggling. I wanted to play with this light for a second, see if I can get it to, if it gets too dark in here. Holy moly. How do you mess with this thing? Ooh, got the mood light going. But anyways, I think I can see the comments. If you guys have any questions, don't hesitate. Like I said, go ahead and, ooh, it's so bright. Why is it so bright? I don't know what I'm doing. I'm a fish lost at sea. So anyways, but yeah, I don't know. The whole thing with uprooting something that's already established, that's tough. I thought about it with kind of my own business. Like, okay, let's say the guy, he's taking it over, right? Is it going to be like a total? See, I don't think it really matters. Just my opinion. I don't think it really matters because, for instance, I'm going to paint you that picture. Here we go. Years ago, my business partner used his personal truck. And if you guys are using, comment below. If you guys are using your personal truck, I'm telling you, it's a nightmare. It was a nightmare for me. I mean, it was just, it saves on money, but it's just, there's something about not being able to let go of work. To be honest, one of the greatest things was the location. That really helped out a lot. Somewhere where physical, it just roots you. I don't know why. It seems like it helps a lot. So, business partner, he would literally go, he'd put a magnet sticker, very small, not nothing big, put a magnet sticker on his truck. And I remember he had little one of those little half ladder racks. And I remember we were going to all these customers. And I was always really surprised, especially when they were lows, that we didn't get more people that were like, hey, you know, like why didn't we call you guys? It was like, as far as I'm concerned, to some degree, when you go commercial, it's different, right? You got to kind of have the truck. You got to kind of have the image. You got to have the uniforms. You got to have, you know, the certain aura. But when it came to the it was like they didn't even care to the most part, unless it was somebody else kind of high end, you know, on the lake or whatever. They kind of seem snooty, blah blah blah. But for the most part, it's like they don't care. Just come fix it. You know what I mean? So, like I said, I'm still a big yard sign guy. I know I'm kind of weird about that, but I'm also, so you got to think about it. Depends on what you're trying to achieve. If you're trying to be that fire extinguisher, because nobody thinks about a fire extinguisher until there's a fire, right? Then you got to be like on those services that are right now. I don't know how much people use like Yelp. I sure as heck don't use Yelp. And one thing I think of is I don't think of people like, you know, going, hey, when I'm at somewhere, why don't you Yelp it? I don't get people doing that, right? It's always Google. It's always, hey, why don't you Google it? Oh, I bet Google knows. I mean, Google will figure it out. That's what I always see. So, but Google is good, but you know, Google's doing something too right now, which is not so bad. It's kind of a good thing. You can literally pay your way to the top, which never used to be that way. So it's kind of bad for the old seasoned vets like me because I'm organic, right? Got the business, got the location, got the vehicle. I mean, I got I got everything. I got the land. I mean, everything fits the criteria of where I'm supposed to be. Got the sign out front that you're supposed to have. But there's guys that could pay their way to be maybe above or same where I'm at. But I really believe the biggest thing for you, which if you're not doing, which I'm assuming, I don't think Keith said anything about it, was that you're doing stickers. I don't know about the stickers. Ooh, make that a little nicer. Stickers are a big help. Stickers are everything. I mean, if you're not stickering garage doors or whatever you're working on, I'm telling you, that's just like end of the world. You know what I mean? Like that stuff you got to do. Hey, jumping in here too, by the way, got questions, garage door related, not personal, lube, whatever. I don't know. Don't hesitate. Ask away. But I want to definitely hear you guys' comments on, you know, somebody driving down the road with no headlights. And, you know, on the branding, because, you know, unfortunately, I've been, Mr. Tony, business cards behind the wall buttons. I've seen that. I've seen my competition over the years. I never really got into it too much because they'd actually put a sticker like right behind the wall button, which I think is like, in a nutshell, is like great. It's like wham, bow, right here. You know, I think it is, but I'm always like, I never wanted to practice it because I was worried that my guys would start learning and go, that's what we always do. And then they'd be in somebody's house that's why Tony's right. The business card is actually a really good idea. But I didn't want to do it because I didn't want them to get accustomed to sticking something to somebody's wall, and then it's like, you just peeled off my paint, or you just wrecked my drywall, or that's tacky or ugly or gaudy. That's always kind of one of the reasons why I kind of stuck away with that. I always did the garage door because I figured, like, worst case scenario with the garage door, it's like, hey, that's my garage door. Like, it's going to be yours. You're paying me for it. But I always knew, like, in the back of my head, like, I could literally peel the sticker off, right? Like, I'm like, I can always peel it off. I can peel the sticker off. It's not that fresh, or it's fresh. It's not been on there for, 5 years in the cooking sun, and it's baked on. So stickers on door, I always try to do them by service doors. Business cards, I think, I don't know. But I always liked the idea that I never really did that much, is that I always wanted to do more with the spray lube. I really liked the idea of the spray lube, like giving them and saying, here's a can of spray lube. It's free. And, oil your door or whatever it is, once a year, and show them the points, spray the spring, blah, blah, blah. And then I always looked at it like it was going to be a key thing that they'd come back and they go, hey, you know what? I used that free bottle of spray lube that you gave me, and I'm all out. And so I need another can if you do. And then you'd come in and you're like, yeah, it's $26. They go, oh, hell with that. I'll just go to Home Depot and get some WD. Thanks anyways. And then they'll forget about you. But within those, maybe 5-6 years, whatever, maybe you're on their radar. Maybe they keep the can. They're like, this is who installed it. They were so nice. I remember this one time. Kid you not. It was Safeway. Roger doesn't supposedly work for them anymore, as far as I hear. But Roger brung us in a box of Girl Scout cookies. Does, like, the rest of the world get Girl Scout cookies? Or is that just like a Michigan thing? I think everybody gets Girl Scout cookies. I don't know. But he brings this box of Girl Scout cookies in, and he sets them down right on the table there in the shop. He's like, here, these are for you. And we're like, oh, okay, yeah, thanks. I think there might even been, like, I can't remember which ones, if they're the mints or the caramel ones. I can't remember, but they weren't even, like, my favorite ones. But I'd be darned, all day I thought about that booger, because every day I was like, or every, hour or so, I was like, I think I better get myself a little cookie here. Oh, that cookie's so delicious. God darn it. And you think about Roger, right? From Safeway. And I thought, what a great way to plant the seed. And so we ended up, we worked with him for a little bit, and then we were kind of off. I think the guy that's running the show now, I think he's back on with them for a little bit. I don't know. I don't remember. I thought I heard rumors. I like I said, I try to stay out of their business. You know what I mean? Like, they run. I had to start this thing from the ground, and now it's like the blessings have come, and it just flourishes. It just does its own thing. You know what I mean? And so I'm just kind of a landlord now. I kind of like it that way. But anywho, so let me make sure I take a look at this. Make sure if I missed anything. Moving forward, time. But yeah, so Keith, I don't know, man. On the whole change in the name, that's a big move. That's a big move. And a lot of people know the name already. So unless it's like, I don't know what you really have to gain. You know what I mean? Unless you got this big pride that you got to be like, it's my business. And see, the thing is, I would never, ever put my business name on a business. I really wouldn't. Because if you always got to be looking 10, 20, 30, 50, 60, 80 years ahead, that if you were to ever sell it, it's got your name on it. So somebody else is like, it's not generic. You know what I mean? But I do think there is something. Now, I don't even think we have the best, I don't even think we have the best logo. I think I've seen some that I'm like, dude, I think there is something about that if you can get something, or even just the way it's spelled out, or just how the letters are, that can be, we got a place around us. It's an electrical company. I don't know if I really want to say it, but they do electrical, and they just got their name. and it's got certain blue colors in it on an angle, you know, on the very ends in a box. And it's like you always see the truck. They used to have a stripe down the side too, and that was always like, oh, I know who that is. You know what I mean? Because you just see it so much. So let's see here. Since there's not too many, nobody gave me I see the thumbs up, Tony. You got to do it in the real thumbs up. I wanted to see like what irritates me is you can't ever like, what the heck is this? Oh, it's an airbag. I'm like, what is that? It's like somebody's dirty. Oh, that didn't do nothing. It always drives me nuts because everything I have is set up. What does it say? Orientation is locked. I do not understand why they have a problem with your phone can't be the other way when you do these lives. It drives me nuts. So anyways, nobody's got no questions. I cannot believe this. Make sure to look over this one more time. I hear a motorcycle. 7 years. Okay, branding. Newspapers, like I said, website. You know, one thing to think about with a website is I would entertain. It might be a good way to, you might want to entertain possibly, I've always wanted to do this. And if you need to do it, let me know how it works. You can always, another thing too is you can always email me. Try not to email me through the business. I know you guys do it. I know you guys do it. But secretary, it just makes her life a little harder. But have it where people can make appointments online. I personally believe that we're working into an era that people don't want to interact. So I look at like, right? Like I know some people still that are like, I just don't know why they can't pick up the phone and call. I cannot tell you how many times running a business that I have screaming kids behind me. I have loud equipment I'm running. I'm driving, which now in Michigan, you're not supposed to be, you know, you're not even supposed to have your phone in your hand. It's like, you know, which is just really is common sense. It's just, it's smart. You know what I mean? And people are like, you know, and the problem is if I'm on the phone, typically people tell you information that I can't retain. Or so what I'm getting at is like, if you can do more with like interacting with like, I always like that saying, you have to be able to take everybody's source of money however you can. You know, you got to take credit card, you got to take, you know, cash, check, you know, Venmo, you got to take PayPal, you got to take Facebook, PayPal, whatever you call it. I don't know. There's so many of them. Apple Pay. But you literally got to get with like a way to interact. You got to have that because like for me, which it's just because I'm always so busy. And so I see Tony here. He says people love talking to humans. I agree. I think there's a good aspect to that too, of answering. That's what really kicked my business off. Was, you know, it was pretty easy. I really think we're gonna go into a downturn. I think it's coming. I think the 08 stuff is coming. 06, 08 is coming right now. But I could literally, I remember like when I first started, all I had to do was answer the phone. Like that phone was everything. Pick up the phone, pick up the phone, pick up the phone. I had it so if it rang to me and I missed it, it would ring to my business partner. And then I had it to another person, I think one more person. And so, and it was amazing how many people would tell me, they'd always say, oh my gosh, somebody that actually answered the phone. I can't believe this, you know? So that's a very big, because all it takes, I remember we had this was a couple years back. And it's weird because now we're over there working, so you don't even think about it. But we missed a phone call once. And of course it was at night. It was an emergency call. We missed a phone call and it was UPS and they had an emergency. So obviously whoever they called dropped the ball, but that's how simple, that's how quick it can go. And that's That's why sometimes in this business, it can really be a bummer because, you know, not always the case, but loyalty is not there. Loyalty is not there. And all they care about is, I always look at it like you're on the side of the road, you got a flat tire, you got a wife that's just ringing your ear right now, you got a baby in the back that's screaming, and you're like, I need to get off this side of this road right now. So I always put myself in that situation. And then if you're a customer with garage doors and you're like, you know what, you know, when can you get here? I mean, right? I mean, everybody's got an emergency. That's what it always seems like. You know, oh, I can't get out. I got a doctor's appointment. I got to take the kids to school. I can't afford another car. I got to close my garage door because, we live in a bad area, which normally sometimes they don't. And it's like, really? But they don't care, right? They don't care about you. They just care about their problem, their situation. And that's why it's really tough. The garage door business is really tough. I really sympathize with guys that do the garage door business. I really do, because, I look at it, and now that I run my other businesses that are so much more automated without the volatility of, when can you be here? When can you do this? Can you come out and do a free estimate? Can you drive out here and waste your time? It's just amazing to me. Not that it's a bad business, but there's so many things which I would love to talk about. I'd love to get in some of those details about some of the negative. Should I get into some of the negative? I don't know if I should get into some of the negative. You guys might not be able to handle it. You might not like me anymore. You might turn me off. But I mean, I think I've almost seen it all. Sometimes I know I haven't seen it all, but branding your business, top Google. Yeah, Keith, I don't know. Like I said, my first instinct, don't change the business name unless you have a really good, valid, especially just getting into it. Just keep that thing chugging, man. I mean, I couldn't imagine somebody taking over mine right now and change the name, because it's just plastered. Everybody knows it. Everybody in the commercial knows it. They already, call affordable, call affordable, call affordable. Now, if I could go back in time, I would have changed the name to something like my competition, right? Like they had Reliable. That was always even though they weren't, that was always like the joke. Tony. Oh man. But Reliable was always a good one, but then it was always funny because I'd show up there and they go, oh yeah, well, Unreliable isn't here. That's why you're here. All right. So I'll tell you a story. Let me tell you how bad it can get. And that's why sometimes, if you're like a one-man band type thing, you got a little helper and stuff, not so bad. Not so bad. So this one time, and this seems like it always happens. I was checking out the state trooper. He's probably like, what the heck is this guy doing? Gonna stop me. Like, I'm all legit, dog. So this one time, there's been multiple. Which one should I tell? Which one should I tell? I feel like it should be like Halloween night. So I'll tell you this one. I remember this one guy. We'll call him he was Mr. G. Mr. G. But Mr. G, literally, I remember he was, there was multiple things that was going on. But he ended up, I remember what really struck me, right? And I remember it was like Labor Day or it was Memorial Weekend. Everybody went home early, right? It's Friday, right? Because it's almost like, the owner never goes home. The owner never goes home. Everybody else goes home. They show up the next day. It's like, yeah, I stayed, 2-3 hours after work. It's a real bear sometimes. But anyways, I remember this customer called me, and this customer says to me, they go, "Hi, I need to talk to somebody, blah, 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 blah." And I'm like, "Okay, what's going on?" I'm like, "I'm here. I'm listening." They're like, "Look, I don't want this guy to ever come out here again." And I'm like, "Man, that's pretty harsh, man." Like, like something that now mind you, behind the scenes, this guy's already racked up like 10, 12 suspicious things that I just haven't really been able to catch him. And that's one thing in the business. I've always told people the best thing you can do in this business is to never lie. That's the best thing. Always be truthful. Always tell what your intentions are. Don't ask afterwards. Ask beforehand, right? So anyways, Mr. G, I get that call and I hear, I don't want this guy to ever come back to my house. And I'm like, "Okay, what's going on here?" And he says, "Well, he's filling out paperwork," and he tells me, he says something that, doesn't need to be quite filled out this way. And he says, he looks right at me and just says, "Look, bud," he goes, "it's just office paperwork. Don't worry about it." Yeah. And I could already tell this guy was, within the same age. He wasn't like somebody you wanted to like trample on. I'm like, yeah, And I mean, this was like the nail in the coffin, because I'm like, all right, this dude's already had somebody now that literally, like, he can't go back, like he's talking to customers bad. He's already like, he's just all over the place. He's telling me how it's like, I want the hours, then I start working them, then he can't do the hours. I mean, just all kinds of just like weird stuff going on. And so now all weekend, right, the nice holiday weekend, I literally got to be like thinking about him 24/7. You know what I mean? Do I let him go? Do I not let him go? Do I let him go? Do I not let him go? Just a huge burden on me. You know what I mean? He's kind of does a good job. He shows up. It's kind of like, oh man, what do I do? What do I do? I mean, the stress is phenomenal that you sit there and the thing is, if you're like me and you don't have somebody that's a business person or like that's been in this business that can go, "Hey man, it's time to let him go. I heard you." It was miserable. So sure enough, Tuesday or whatever comes around, and I'm like, yeah, I got to let him go. You know what I mean? Like, I don't want to, but I got to, because now my workload goes up, and that's the really crummy part that people don't see is like, in the garage door business, like for me always, I can go out and sell. I can make tons of money. That's not a problem at all. It's like most of the time you're kind of going, you're pulling back on the horse seat and going, whoa, whoa, whoa. I mean, that's what you're doing, because you can never find enough labor, skilled labor, good labor to expand. That seems to always be the problem. And I've had it where it's like, I've had 7 guys and it's like, it was like miserable for me. It was absolutely miserable. So anyways, Tuesday comes around. I tell the other guy that's kind of the foreman, I was like, "Hey," I was like, "We'll let him go." He's like, "Really?" I'm like, "Yeah, I just want you to be here, be a witness in case something goes wrong. Even though we have surveillance cameras, we have it all covered, right?" Like, I mean, so sure enough, I mean, he comes in, it's like, I go, "Hey man, gotta let you go." He's like, "What?" And I mean, he acted dumbfounded, right? It's kind of like, what? I don't understand. And I'm like, I don't know how you don't understand. Like, now me being, a nice boss, I literally give him a full week paid. I said, "Look, you're going to get a full week's paid. So you got this whole week to go out and look for another job." I said, I know you're kind of like hurting, whatever. I said, "I'm not going to turn off your cell phone." And so he leaves, right? And then I start hearing through town. Start hearing through the grapevine. Not right away, but just here and there about how, "Oh yeah, Mr. G said that, you're a real jerk." Let's just say there's other words. And I'm like, "Really?" I'm like, "So I'm a jerk." And these were the things, I took personally. Like, I was like, I've thought about this long and hard. And it's like, and then I left his phone on for a whole month. I paid for it. I finally had to call him and I'm like, "Dude," I'm like, either you take the phone number, which really we weren't even supposed to do. Like they're supposed to retrieve. We're supposed to get the number back. I was like, I'm gonna let you have it because I know he was kind of going through a hard time, and it's like, but I'm the bad guy for giving a full week's pay and paying for your phone bill for a month. Okay, okay, you know, I still remember talking about Mr. G here, just to show you kind of the attitude of this guy sometimes. I remember one time he pulls up to the shop. I mean, I could always tell, like I got to the point when I was at the shop, I could always tell how people were going to perform that day. You know what I mean? Like you could just tell by it's like energy to me. Everything is frequency, energy, universe. It's just like, it's just so like, it's almost like looking at a dog, right? And you look at a dog and you're like, yeah, I know that dog's going to probably bite me if I put my hand down. So I'm not going to put my hand down. That dog looks pretty friendly. That's, like it just, to me, it's just so, I just notice it so instantaneously now that I took the blinders off. And so I remember he comes pulling in, right? And he's like, and I'm like, yo, what's up, man? I'm loading up a garage door or whatever. And he's like, got a problem. Yeah. Don't we all? And I remember he's like, my grandpa's in the hospital, and I'm like, okay. And he goes, I think he's about ready to croak, and I'm like, okay. So I said, okay. I said, so what the heck are you doing here? And I mean, his face, like all he looked like he wanted to do was fight. I mean, that looked like it was all in his face. Like he wanted to fight. And he's like, well, I did, and I'm like, yeah, man. I said, hey, look, I said, if your grandpa's not doing good, I said, it ain't going to be on my watch. I said, leave. I said, do what you got to do. I said, go say your goodbyes or talk to him or whatever you need. Like whatever you need. Like we got so much work will be here. You know what I mean? I mean, like we'll be a little slow today. We'll survive. And I remember the complexity on his face. Like he just looked like it was like, like I don't know what the like he wanted to curse me out. Like I knew you were a jerk. See, Mom told you my just wanted to blow up at me. And then it was done. Another time, still with Mr. G. He comes to work. His vehicle kind of does the Houdini, right? Like it's like gone. I'll show up a little bit later in the day, lunch, whatever. I'm like, the heck, man? I'm like, did he leave? No, he didn't leave, but somebody came and got his vehicle. So I started getting into this point where I was like, hey, man, I said, and then the problem is he would start calling me towards the evening. Hey, is it okay if I take the work truck home? Yeah. Sometimes he have an excuse. Sometimes he wouldn't, my vehicle's getting in for repairs or whatever. And I'm like, yeah, I'm trying to be nice, right? I'm like, yeah, I guess take it, But then what really started ticking me off was I started getting these phone calls. I get them at 5, 6, sometimes 8 o'clock at night. I get where it's like, hey man, so like I need to run down. Can I run down to the like the bar, or can I run down to the I mean, I'm like, dude, what are you doing? And I'm like, no, because here was the problem. It's one thing through business hours. Like for us, we cut out at 4. We're done at 4. Sometimes it trickles over, but 4 o'clock's always been kind of our cutoff. I've always looked at it like it's a good time, from 4 to 5. Secretary can do stuff. They can still answer phones. It's time to, regroup. We're pretty much done at the end of the day. 4 o'clock. So roughly 4 to 5, you're going to be going home. You know what I mean? When I go home at 5, 6, 7 o'clock at night, like I want to be done. Like I don't want to think about work no more. And now if I got to worry about that truck out traveling, right? And that's the worst thing. Like when you let employees have vehicles. I learned the hard way because everything goes back to you. It's a mess. If they get in an accident, you get phone calls. I remember one Monday morning, we ended up, the secretary, she comes out and she's first thing she goes, "Who got in a car accident this weekend?" I think I had 3 or 4 service calls or service trucks out at the time where people were taking them home. And I'm like, huh? Like what? Oh, everybody's just, that playing, oh, I don't know nothing. Well, then one of the service vehicles or cars I seen, I'm like, man, that service car's got red paint on it. And they said it was a red car. And I don't remember red paint being on that car. But it wasn't a totally clean car. Like I bought it with a few bumps and bruises. So I'm kind of like, yeah, I don't know, man. I don't know. I think he was lying. I really do. But it's just stuff like that. It just sucks. It really sucks sometimes when you got to be behind, So let's go back to Mr. G. Tell you a couple more on him. So another time, right? Come to find out, the reason his truck's doing the Houdini is because he's literally like, he's got his buddy that he's working in tandem with that is taking scrap metal from the business and he's taking it to the scrapyard during the day. Now, I caught on to this, and I caught him one weekend, right? They're out there on a Saturday. Now, this was the worst part. Our scrap got full, and I'm like, yeah, it's time. I'm just going to do it. I'll just get it cleaned out. It'll be cleaned out for the guys, make a few bucks. It's just getting to the point because we had a trailer one time that I overloaded. I broke the tongue off of it. So I go to the scrapyard, and I tell you what's just heartbreaking, right? You sit there and you do all these things for your family, really, for your extended family, not your own family, your extended family. And I literally pull in there to the scrapyard and I see the 2 guys that are my employees. There's 2 of them, and they got the truck that does the Houdini and a trailer. And coincidental, they got garage door panels on there. They got springs, track. Now, there's so much there that I'm like, I know that's not like they just did this on a weekend or did their grandma's or did a family member's. Like, this is like stuff that when they're going to the job, they're literally coming back and they're going to their house instead of going to the shop and dropping that scrap metal. I look at it like, correct me if I'm wrong. Far as I'm concerned, it's theft. Because, hey, our scrap metal gets taken back and we still get money for it, right? Even if it puts gas in a truck, buys donuts, pays for the light bill. To me, it's theft if you don't ask. I've had a lot of people do it. It just happens. And that's why I feel bad for guys that get into this business and they sit there and, think, oh, I'm going to get another crew. I'm going to get another truck and stuff. Yeah. Well, wait until they start burning you. You know what I mean? Because it's going to happen. It's going to happen. This one guy told me one time, another garage door guy, been in the business same as me or longer, and he always put it this way. He said, he says, and this is kind of a broad in a sense, right? For Keith here, let's just say, he worked there 7 years. He took over a business. I think that's very honorable. You know what I mean? Basically the same thing with my business. You know what I mean? Another guy runs it. Very honorable. But I tell you what, the guy that works for me, that runs my business, that runs the whole thing, that's an amazing person, never once lied to me. Never. I got so sick of hearing him ask me for things all the time. I said, dude, do whatever you want. You own the place. Basically like that. You own the place. Do whatever you want. Take the van home. If you want to let somebody use something or you need to borrow the trailer, go for it. It's yours. It's yours. And it all became, it all came from somebody not lying and being honorable, showing up every day, dedication. This stuff takes a long, long, long time. I've had a lot of people come and go, and they always look at everything, right? They always, oh, it must be great. Oh, it must be this. And a lot of these guys don't understand. They entrap themselves. Yeah, you got a business, Not saying there's not advantages to it, but it's like sometimes you get into it and you kind of go, wow, I've created myself a hell of a lot of work You know what I mean? Because there's all kinds of work out there. But it ain't like when you worked at a job where you just, hit the time clock, you go home, you got the weekend to yourself. No, because now you're thinking, oh, I gotta, it's like I just hopped in this van, right? And I'm like, it could just be rusty brakes. This van hasn't moved in a while. And I'm like, man, is that grinding? Is the brakes grinding on this thing? Do I gotta take it in? Maybe I should look at it. No, maybe I'll take it in. I don't. It's just there's so many layers to this stuff, and so I just the business was always great, but when it came to, like I said, I'm so stinking blessed that I got such good people that work here, that work for the guy that runs it, and secretaries. I mean, just people that are amazing people. But it all came with honesty. Because the thing is, I always told people, I said, look, when you leave here or whatever happens in life, I want to be your best friend. I really do. But I always like this term too. And I hope you're learning something from this. So if you can, give that white thumbs up. And if you got any questions, don't be afraid to ask. But the thing is, these people, right, employees, whatever, they're coming to my house. They're coming to your house. I don't go to their house, and you don't go to their house if you're running the business. But if I go to your house, I don't steal from you. But they have the opportunity to come to your house, and all of a sudden, fingers get kind of sticky. People start getting kind of greedy. Things are a little funny here and there. But the thing is, like I said, I might not find out about it today. I might not find out about it tomorrow or next week or next month, but I will find out. See, the thing is, like, it's kind of like what they tell you, like the whole faith and everything, and in religion, let's just say, what comes around goes around. Everybody talks. Everybody talks. It's just a matter of time. Are you that person that's an honorable person, that is a trustworthy person, that was a faithful, a good, or are you that person that's the thief? Or are you the person that doesn't tell the truth? Or are you the person that just looks out for themselves and doesn't think about anybody else? The guy that runs this place doesn't always put himself first. And that's what you need. You need somebody that is looking for you. You need, like, I always looked at it like Deadliest Catch. Deadliest Catch, right? You got the boat, you're the captain, right? But there's waves coming over the I mean, you know how your crew's working, right? You know them like the back of your hand. The waves are too tall. They need to come back and retreat. We got to do it. Where do we set the pots or pods? I don't know what they're called. But, to catch the lobster, right? That's really what you're running. You're running a ship, and you need the engines at full force. You need everything. You need the maintenance guy. You need the chef. You need the cook. You need the maintenance guy. You need the guy that cleans the floors, the janitor. You need all this stuff. It's very important to make the whole ecosystem work. So, anywho, I think I kind of went off a little bit for if Keith is, I think I told him, no, hey, I was kind of done. But so, yeah, so with this guy, Mr. G, later down the road, like I tell you how the truth comes out, I'm at, I'll just say I was at a sports shop. And I remember I'm in there, I see his wife. And she's telling me, yeah, we're having a hard time, blah, blah, blah. Okay. I would not doubt that, because the way his mind worked and the way he talked about you, and it was always your fault and nobody else's fault, I would kind of assume that. And she told me, I found cocaine in his wallet. I feel horrible about that. I really do. But that explains the erratic behavior. I'm telling you, one thing that can really, drugs will throw you all over the place. And I feel sorry for people that are dealing with the stuff. I really do, because like anything, right? You drink too much pop, you drink too much beer, all this stuff affects you. It really does. It's horrible. It's horrible. And it's sad. And then another thing So Mr. G, right? While we're still on the topic, I remember Mr. G literally, he tells me one day, right? I was real hesitant. I was real hesitant. Just to tell you a miserable story. He comes up to me. I think it was towards like a little bit slushy winter time here in Michigan. He's telling me, he goes, man, he goes, I really need to, you know, I really need the hours. I really need to work. And I'm like, dude, don't tell me that because I will work you like a dog. You know what I mean? Because at the time, heck, I'm used to working 12, 14 hours, 16 hours, whatever, man. Whatever it takes. Weekends, nonstop, baby. And so I'm debating because I have this one job. It was for a car wash. And I wanted to do it at nighttime because of course, it's a wonderful customer, right? We don't want to shut down the car wash, which is totally understandable. It really is. But we don't want to shut down the car wash because, we'll lose customers during the day. Okay, not a problem. Not a problem. I don't like sleep. Hell no, I don't like sleep. No. So I remember I'm getting this job all lined up, right? I'm like, all right, I got this. I'm going to have this guy go with me. And he's telling me he needs these hours. And I'm like, I'm in that like point of like trying to let go. So I end up, I literally go out there and I'm like, all right, you're going tonight. And he's like, what? Really? I'm like, yep. I'm like, so, let your wife know. I'm like, you're going tonight. He's like, oh, okay. He's all excited, right? I feel like we're drifting here a little bit. And so make sure nobody, I don't know if there's a way to like refresh. There we go. We got 7 people supposedly. Where's the thumbs up? Nobody gives me a thumbs up. No love in the hood. So anyways, I'm like, all right, you're going, bud. He's like, oh, he's all excited. He's like, all right, I'm all right. Thank you. So they go, right. And mind you, this is a tear out. This is like aluminum door install. I mean, this is like, it's a big job. So they go. And I'm already like staying up at night. It's like 10 o'clock. I'm kind of like, texting. Hey, how's it going? You guys doing all right? Oh yeah, we're so far. We got the door down. Got the door down. That's it. What? You should have the door halfway stacked by now. The new door. What the? That's all right. Trying to let go. It's okay. I got. All right. Thanks for the thumbs up. Appreciate it. Buy you a beer. And so anyways, midnight comes, still kind of the same, like, oh, we're getting there, but not as, like, okay, like, do you need me to come up? Do you need extra help? Do you need like nuts and bolts? You need screws? Mind you, this is probably, it's 45 minutes away from the shop. Add another 15 because I lived away from the shop. So at the time, so it's, it's an hour drive, and they're like, no, we're good. It's like 1, 2 o'clock in the morning. I'm like, all right, man, I gotta go to sleep. Cause if I don't go to sleep, I'm not going to be any good for tomorrow, the next day. Right. It's all good. They got this. They're doing it. And so I remember, I give like the last text, right? Like the Titanic. And I'm like, guys, all right. I'm probably going to go to bed. Yeah, I mean, everything's going fine. We seem to be just chugging along. It's a little slower. And, it's one of those things too. When you're you ever do car wash? You ever do car wash? Comment below. I mean, car wash stink. Let's just say everything's rusted and everything's corroded and everything's slimy and slippery. It's horrible. So, we're good, right? I literally fall asleep. I think I'm an hour into my sleep, right? Finally get into that deep sleep. And all of a sudden I get a phone. And I made sure the phone is up on loud. I mean, it's on like the loudest ringer, and I'm a light sleeper as it is. And all of a sudden it rings. I'm like, hello? And I hear the guy go, we got a problem. And I'm like, oh, you run out of screws? I mean, well, ladder ain't tall enough? What? There's a ladder in the back of the maintenance room in there. Don't worry about it. And he's like, no, he's like, Mr. G fell off the ladder. What? I mean, I was literally pinching myself. I was like, this is not like, no, this is not even, I was pinching myself so freaking hard because I'm like, there's no way this is happening. He's like, yeah, he fell off the ladder. He's on the ground. He's literally got blood coming out of his mouth. He's unconscious. I'm like, what? What? This is not happening. Like, I mean, I'm just like, now I'm like sitting there like doing this. Come on, wake up. This is a dream, you idiot. And I remember, so if you made it this far, this is a good learning point right here. If you run a business, something you got to think about. You need to have emergency contacts. Yeah. I didn't. So I'm literally like, I mean, I sprung up out of bed, and next thing I know, I hear him like on the phone going, hey, he goes, I got to let you go. The ambulance is pulling up. And I'm like, what? The ambulance is pulling up? Like, I mean, he did everything right, but I'm like, what? I mean, I was like, I just can't. I'm like, I froze. I was like, what do I do? Do I jump in a vehicle and go screaming up there? Do I, like, what do I do? And I'm like, so first thing I do, of course, let's wake up the wife, right? It's like, just like the violent, like, get up now. And I remember I'm like, she gets up and it's like, she's just like, what is going on? And I'm like, he fell off the ladder. Mr. G fell off the ladder. We got a problem. And she's like, and I'm like, I don't know what to do. I'm like, I know how to get a hold of his wife, but it's through like Facebook. I don't have a phone number. And I'm like, oh my gosh. I'm like, and he's that type of dude too, that he probably wouldn't want me waking up his family. What does this say? Where'd you just get rid of? No, Mr. G. This was a long time ago. I got rid of Mr. G. Hey, garage door guy 67. I dare you to yell where the party at? Where the party at? I don't know what that means. But anyways, so wake the wife up. I'm literally like, oh my gosh, what do we do? And she's like, I don't know. We don't have nobody to call. So like I get another phone call from the guy that's up with them, because there's two guys up there. And he's like, yeah, I don't even know what to do. He's like, they came, they put him on a stretcher, they put him in the ambulance, they're taking him to the hospital. And I'm just like it's not like the movies. Like, I mean, like, didn't they just give him like a shot? And he woke up and he's like, I'm awake, I'm fine, get off me. No, that wasn't the case. So he literally, they take him to the hospital. Now I'm like, what do I do? Like, do I call the hospital? Like, I don't. So I'm talking to the guy and he's like, I don't know, but he's like, this door's half stacked right now. And I'm like, are you freaking, like, I'm like, I don't know what to do. I'm like, dude, I guess let's just go back. Let's just go back to the shop and let's meet. That's all I can think, because I'm thinking that's going to buy me some time to wake up, to figure out what the heck's going on here, put some clothes on, get dressed, get in the vehicle. You got about the same time to wrap up your tools or kind of get stuff cleared out of the way a little bit, and let's go. And so we meet at the shop, right? Now, mind you, this is, it's like 3-4 o'clock in the morning. And I'm like, we're like sitting there. I'm like, he's telling me the whole story. Yeah, they ended up, they had to, cut his jacket open with scissors, and they were doing things. And I'm just like, and I feel horrible for him, because I'm just sitting here just like, I vaguely know where he lives. And I'm like, I'm like to the point, I'm like, is this the end for him? Like, is he going to even make it? Like, what? Because he's like, on car washes, how they have the metal rails for your tire to run against so you don't go over and hit the machines. He hit his head on that when he fell off the ladder. And I'm like, well, what happened? He's like, I don't know. He's like, I literally looked at him. His eyes went in the back of his head. He let go of the ladder and he fell off. And I'm like, oh my gosh. So now I'm like, I'm sitting there talking to him at 3 o'clock, whatever, in the morning. And we're like, he's like, yeah. And he's like, the door's not running. I'm like, sweet. He goes, yeah. He goes, the door's not running. He's like, so they're not going to be able to open it in the morning. And I'm like, oh my gosh, you got to be kidding me. And so I said, here's the thing. I said, I need to go home. I said, I got to get at least an hour of sleep. I said, at least if I get an hour, I can run the whole day on an hour of sleep. And he's like, he goes, I'm so jostled. He goes, I'm not going to be able to sleep. I'm like, not my problem, bud. Like, like I got to go at least get an hour of sleep so I can function today and figure out, because I'm going to have a long day of phone calls and hospital and workman's comp and all this crap to worry about. And so he's like, all right, and I said, all we can do is we're going to have to go up there like 7 o'clock or whatever it was. It's me here at 6, and we're have to go up there and we're going to have to like pin the door open and then go back the next night. So sure enough, the morning came. We ended up doing that, right? We ran up there, and I remember the guy that was like my foreman at the time, he's supposed to come in, right? So I'm thinking, I'm covered, I'm good. I don't even have to really tell him what's going on yet, because he's going to come in like he does every morning at 7 o'clock. And I remember we're up there, we're hustling, right? We end up start hustling back, right? We get this thing done. I mean, we got our, I had so many things at times stacked on top of each other. I mean, it's like, you can't miss 10 minutes. It's like, we got to go. And I remember we're hustling back, and I get a phone call from my foreman. He's like, I don't remember what it was. I got to take the kid to school or something that was just not normal for him. And I'm like, are you freaking kidding me? Because now the secretaries are not going to really know. I got guys, right? Because I had quite a few guys under me that are going to show up, and they need a male figure there to go, hey, today you're going to go do this. You didn't finish this up today, so I'm going to have you go back here. You're getting the new stuff. Let me double check you. And I remember he's like, I'm not going to be able to make it. And I'm like, you're kidding me, dude. This cannot be happening. Like, I just had this happen. I explained to him, and he's like, oh, man. He's like, and he was in a situation that he couldn't change. It was like one of those things. He wasn't like, hey, I'm clipping my toenails. I'm like, forget your toenails. Let's go, Johnny. And he didn't do that very often. So I was like, so I'm racing back. Luckily, I made it just in time. I mean, we just come flying in, gravel's flying. Guys are all standing around, look like they're about ready to depart. Like, oh, I mean, they're just excited as hell, right? Like, well, I guess we're not, shoot, we don't have to work. Maybe we should all just go to the bar, And it's like, so I pull in there. I get everything going. See, sometimes I talk with my one business guy, buddy, and we always talk about the joke about between us and the wives and stuff like that, and a lot of people think they just, not all of them, but humans can be like the worst thing ever to manage, because they're so unpredictable. And when you're in this line of business, you're not dealing with typically like, suit and tie type of stuff, right? You're dealing with people that are maybe on disability, or, they're full-time for a little while. I mean, not that it can't be. It's not that it can't be. It's just majority of the time that you get guys that come in, and it's like, you really gotta play big. I mean, you gotta provide, workman's comp. You got to do the 401k. You got to do health insurance. I mean, this stuff just adds up to be astronomical. And the one thing that always irritated me was that when you do workman's comp, the one thing that always got me is like, so if I give my secretary double her wages, workman comp doubles. They're like, yeah, it goes by their wages. I'm like, but they're doing the same job. Like, they're sitting behind a computer typing. They're not getting on roofs. They're not getting on ladders. Like, they're just doing the same job. I'm going to double their wages. And they're like, yeah, workman's comp goes up. And I'm like, what? And it's like, there's so many things out there that's, let's say, government related, whatever, that just eat you up alive. Not that there can't be benefits, because there is, but there's layers of things, is all I'm saying. Party. You guys got any questions? You can always ask. And then you can always comment. Like I said, I don't always see the comments rated, but if you got something that you're like, I really need to ask Dave on this, don't hesitate to always, you can always email me. And I always put the email, do the Daveadubson@gmail. Look, we got somewhere between 9 and 10, and I only got 1 thumbs up. You guys can't get me one. It's free. It doesn't charge. I don't track you. I don't solicit you. I don't call you on the phone. I just provide you with a little late night entertainment. So anywho, anybody got any questions before I kind of start wrapping her up and try to go home and wrap my head around the day? Oh, we got 2. We hit the big 2. But yeah, Mr. G, man, I tell you, he was something else. He was something else. Ah, I see. You guys, I love it. You give me the thumb. You gotta do the thumbs up on the video, like where it's like comments or thumb down, thumbs up. You know, not in the stream where I can read or the comments. I know the thumbs up there. Oh yes, Tony says the government is coming to get you. I'm probably like getting like I'm not getting advertised. You know what I mean? Like it's being demoted right now because I say those words. It's a shame, really. I tell you what, get ready because I don't have a crystal ball, but I've been doing this for quite a while, and there's no way I see us sustaining the way that we're gonna keep going. So Tony, I don't know why. For some reason, I see when yours comes up, it says that a message retracted. I don't know why yours comes up like that. I love appreciate entertainment. Love it. I'm here for you, Tony. I'm here for you, brother. Because, man, it's tough out. It's tough out. But, so, what I'd be doing right now a little bit. Well, it says, this message is being held for reviews. What if I want to see it? What does it say? It says, Mr. G, something. My brother-in-law, I used to say, need to try and make things idiot-proof. Then God sent you, you a smarter idiot. Yeah, I mean, what's really funny is in this business, to give you like a little example, I remember that I used to do so many things for the guys. It was just, it'd blow your mind. You know what I mean? And I've tried slicing the bread so many different ways when it comes to, like, for instance, I used to I'm still kind of a big believer of this. So if you're running a business, what I would consider, and hear me out on this, is I would load up the vehicles, especially if you're doing garage doors, openers, residential, I mean commercial. I don't think it really matters. But I would literally load up the vehicles the night before. Why? Why do you ask? Why would you do that? I would do it because, I mean, sure, the door hang out of the vehicle sometimes a little bit, but garage doors are meant to get wet. Who cares? You know what I mean? Especially if you're using a van. I mean, I guess the truck's different, but we always use the van. So most of our stuff was protected. That's why I like the vans. So I would load up the vehicles that night. And I kid you not, it never seemed like it failed. I would go in there, like the next day would come. And, it was like I never, ever, ever, I don't think, got one of the guys that were like, hey, man, I kind of already had a rough morning. I missed out on my coffee or whatever. Hey, man, thanks for loading up the vehicle. I appreciate it. It was like always a deploy for them to have a reason to complain about something. You know what I mean? It was like they go install the door or something like that. And then it was like, hey, they kind of play dumb. It was like, hey, who loaded the van last night? And it's like, I did. Do I get a thank you? Thank you? Thank you? Come on. Well, yeah, whoever loaded the van last night, they forgot weather seal. Yeah. I'm like, what? I'm like, you know what I mean? It was just like, it just never failed. So it was almost like I got to the point, I was like, fine, you load up your own crap. You know what I mean? Just sure, go ahead, load it up. And then that way it's like they show up and they show back, with their tail between their legs. And it was like, got a problem. We got to go back to that job. Why do you got to go back to that job, Johnny? Somehow I forgot the weather seal. Well, it wasn't labeled and I wasn't right next to the garage door. So I don't, oh, it's okay, Johnny. It happens, So it was just something funny that always happened to me. What? Now I got to scroll. This thing doesn't pull up automatically. Anderson Garage Door Service. Hey, Dave. Hey, Anderson. Anderson Garage Door. That's kind of a cool name. I like that. Refrigerator. Magnets. Magnets, I did a little bit, but where I seen them the most, which was really weird. I remember at one of my commercial customers, I literally seen them He always had a filing cabinet behind him, and he had all his vendors. And I always thought, I got to get a magnet for him. I know I'm in his Rolodex. I know I got his personal number, text, because I'd always get, that's how it is. It's like, oh, you got a problem. For commercial, that's what you got to do with commercial. You got to be there. I mean, they need you. Sent with a bill. Ooh, sent with a bill. I hope this is for commercial. Handed a customer sticker on the door. Amen to that. And our opener is probably the cheapest, best other word of mouth. Word of mouth is really good. It really is. That's why, sometimes I wonder, when I think about it with these guys that are like, man, what do you and it's like, I think I see why, in my other businesses, other forums and stuff I'm on, I see why guys have such, it's not of a get quick rich scheme. You know what I mean? Or business. I mean, it's just not how it works. It's doing repetitive work over and over and being there, and so like with garage door springs, right? Most of it, right? They automatically, it's just like when they need something, you kind of got to be there. You got to be in the Google. You got to be, they seen you. They talk to their neighbor. The neighbor goes and looks at their garage door. That's who I had do it. I seen a lot of times, I got a lot of people when you put the yard signs out, the neighbors in the neighborhood, and if you can leave it there, it's really funny because I never got much. I used to have, I had the Ford, I had the Raptor. I've had, some people like it. I've had some customers like our Rap fans. It does definitely catch your eye. I don't know if it's ever been like where it's like super impactful, helpful. You know what I mean? It's more or less like, I just never got the word where it's like people are always like, well, I was driving past, what I have gotten. Oh man, here's another little story. Look at this one. This message is held again. What do they think I am, a pansy? I can't. Now I see why. Oh man, that's funny. Let's just say, what is it? Like buttholes, everyone has one. Yeah, exactly. Exactly. But so anyways, now I got off track what I was going to tell you on that one. But no, I just, oh, so this is what it was. One thing I can guarantee you. So for a while there, so this is another thing to think about too. And I'm just being honest with you. This is me and you. Don't don't tell nobody about this. Okay? This is between me and you. This is top secret. When the cough syndrome happened, right? About a year or two ago, right? When that stuff happened. I remember a guy that was doing a remodel on one of my rentals. He was freaking out, right? He had his truck all labeled up, really nice lifted up Chevy truck, really beautiful truck, right? And I remember he's like, dude, I got to rip the stickers off my truck. And I'm like, what? He's like, yeah. He's like, because I'm not considered essential. He goes, and I'm not getting called out on this crap. You know what I mean? And I'm like, oh man, I get it. He's like, I got to keep working. He's like, I got to feed my family. I got to and I'm like, dude, I get it. I mean, I was to the point we had, I think we had one unmarked vehicle still that wasn't labeled up yet. That thing was like God sent. I was like, yeah, we're going to be driving this around because see, people don't understand that they're, the way it was going, they were making everybody turn against each other. Right. I mean, even one of my, let's just say liberal friends, he's like, I don't get this. He's like, people are blowing up on Facebook. They're complaining about people getting mulch dropped off at their house. And I'm like, yeah. I'm like, what's the big, he goes, but here's the thing. He's like, you can pay for it online or pay over the phone with a credit card. The guy sits in his truck. He backs up. You put a cone where you want it in the driveway or on the yard. He dumps it. He never even has to talk to you. Never has to even go up to the door. Nothing. He dumps it and he leaves. I don't see what the problem is. And I'm like, yep. And I had a guy that was here at the time, and he was just, being like, oh, I'm going to go out. And I'm like, dude, slow it down. Slow it down. Social media will tear you apart. And that is one thing that's really sucked in this industry from when I was doing it, is social media. Because it's like it can be your friend and it can turn very quickly and be your enemy. It really can be. And so I was like, whoa, whoa, whoa. But unmarked vehicles doesn't seem like, because everybody loves to get out their phone, right? Because everybody's got one. And they like zooming in and getting that perfect picture. Let me get a picture of that vehicle. Oh, let me get a picture of that guy getting out of the vehicle. Oh, let me put this on social media. That's probably coming back. I hope not, but it's probably coming back, and it'll be like, look at this guy. Look at this guy. I don't think, luckily we got turned into, we were considered essential because we did fire department, we do road commission, we do, so we kind of had, I don't think we got too many bad, but, we had to do the whole protocol. Some people didn't give a rat's hiney, some people did. But, the second time, this might be, comment below. Let me know. Let me know what you think. I would love to get a temperature of what is going on out there, because see, what really gets me, what I think could be coming, is I think they could start forcing it. So we had one business, and I remember I kind of did I choked a little bit, where it was like, oh crap, you guys are messaging me and I got to keep scrolling. I thought this thing did it automatically. I'm sorry. But we had one business here in town that when the whole cough syndrome was going on, they were making their vendors also be, show the card basically that you've got the jabby jab. And I remember, oh my, that ain't good, because at the time we only had one guy that got that, and he was the only one that could go in there. And so for some of you guys out there that are like, I'm a bad man, I'm a badass, let's just say that, they got ways around it. And that does concern me, because it's they always keep inching it, right? I always look at it like this. It's kind of like Walmart, right? You always hear about Walmart coming in somewhere, right? And then you hear about the city, and then they had a meeting, and the people voted it down. But I always tell myself, if Walmart's already talking about a spot, they're coming. They are coming with a vengeance. It might not be this year, might not be next year, might be 3 or 4 years, but they're coming. If they want that spot, they want that location, they've already done the research, they're coming. And they either got to fill somebody's pockets or put somebody's kids through school or college or whatever. I don't know how, but they're coming. We've had it happen multiple times here. It's coming. And so I look at this and I go, man, it's probably coming, where they're going to be like, yeah, because I could see it. I could see it on people's faces. I could see it when it was like, you go in there and it was kind of like, hey man, I'm not really a part of this, but my workers, we got to follow protocol, and then it got to be scary, because at one point, I remember they were talking about making it through, what was it? Oh, what's it called? OSHA, that comes around for safety, right? Everybody probably knows OSHA. I assume that's across the, safety people. If there's an accident at work, they come in, investigate what happened. Well, we're talking $10,000 fine if you got caught. Man, let's just make sure how to read this right. There's that. This is outside of what you've been talking about, but you guys, or do guys use Sure-Wind, I think, glove? Boy, Tony, that's a great question on those. If anybody else has on those Sure-Winds, I've been looking into them. I kind of went off the bandwagon because I forget what it was, but like one could do residential and also do commercial, and I was like, that's what we need. And one was almost like you had to buy the bigger mechanism. and so I kind of like I fell off the bandwagon. I was like, yeah. And I think I called and it was like $1,200 or $1,300. So, but I thought, oh my gosh, man, that's got to be great for guys' shoulders. But I definitely am still. I'm gonna look into it again because it would be great. But it seems like sometimes when you get them, I mean, it wouldn't be for every situation, but most time you get like for us like commercial or even residential sometimes. But there was some unique, like I think you could stick a bar in the one and you could let it rest against the garage door and then it would automatically, you could use your screw gun. But there was something goofy with it. Like one, it wanted, like, one's not gear reduction, so one's like you needed like a really big drill. Another one was like you could just use a baby drill, and I was like, that's the one you want, the one that used a baby drill. You don't want to be carrying around some big honking, 3/4 horse gear driven 90-degree drill. So definitely, if anybody's got any ever used one, you know let me know. I mean, I have them both. Oh, Anderson, let's see here. Yes, same. Do you recommend getting Sherwin or both? What does it says? Sometimes he also. Yeah. So, I mean, I'm curious on those windings. That's for sure. Sometimes. Yeah, it's getting a little bit nutty. I think we're going to be going into, what are we seeing? We're already seeing like the car stuff going south. And I don't know, I didn't check. I was going to check the old interweb. If they actually went on strike, if anybody knows, let me know if the car union actually did go on strike. I know that it's kind of like I'm hearing about like the shutdown already. And it's like, I love how they don't tell you exact day on my like Yahoo notification or something. It's like in 13 days. I'm like, I don't want to think what 13 days are. Just tell me the stupid day and time. You know what I mean? Like, I don't want to know. Like, I just, that way I can go, oh, did something happen today? Oh, they're shutting it down. Ooh. You know? So I don't know. I just think, right now we're going into that lame duck for next year. Boy, the election stuff's going to be really entertaining, isn't it? It's going to be very interesting. It's going to be nuts. So I better let you guys go. I took up enough of your time. I'll probably bounce out of here. Like I said, what is it showing? It says it's 9. About 9:30. Almost bedtime. Time to head off and see the stars, and Monday's coming. I'm excited. We'll see what it brings. That's all we can do. Anyways, if you guys don't mind, hit that like button. If you learned anything, good. I hope I taught you something about the ins and outs of the business a little bit. And you should become a subscriber. What the heck? What do you got to lose? I'm not here to judge you. I love the information. You guys teach me so many things. It's not even funny. I love it. Love the interaction. So, all right, you guys. I hope you guys have a wonderful night. Get some sleep. Be safe out there. Keep all your fingers. Remember, go easy on the shoulders when you're winding those springs. You can definitely tear up your rotary cup. Spring less than a minute. Commercial, residential. Tony, you're gonna have to let me know which one. Let me know which one you're using for sure. It says I've seen something in here about both for those, but I want to know, are they holding up? How many years you've had them too? That's what I'd like to know. How long have you had them? So you can always shoot me a comment. I'll look for it, or just shoot me an email at the Daveadubson. Like I said, it's in the description below. Is that what it is? I don't know. It's right there though, so you guys know what to go to if you have anything. So Keith, love you, brother. Thanks for the question. Keep them coming. We'll see you on the next one, you guys. Have a great night.